They say the first 24 hours inside Cook County Jail can change a man forever. Not because of the noise. Not because of the cold. But because of the silence that follows, when the bars lock and every eye in the tier studies the newcomer. If you don't know the rules, you learn them fast. Because here the rules aren't written on paper, they're carved into survival itself. Before we dive deeper into this unseen world, make sure you like this video and subscribe. Every week, we uncover the untold stories inside America's most dangerous prisons. Truths you won't hear anywhere else. Now let's go inside. Cook County Jail sits on 96 acres of concrete and razor wire in the heart of Chicago's South Side. It's not a single building, it's a city within a city. Each division holds its own world, its own rhythm, its own unspoken laws. With nearly 6,000 inmates on any given day, it's one of the largest single-site jails in the United States, a place where the waiting never ends. Unlike a prison, Cook County is mostly filled with men awaiting trial, presumed innocent, yet trapped in a system that treats them like they've already been convicted. Some stay for weeks, others for years. And between those walls, time moves differently, measured not in hours or days but in tension, respect, and fear. From the moment a new inmate steps off the bus, he's watched. Veterans of the block know the signs, the nervous eyes, the unsure walk, the clenched hands. The tier will test him. Is he solid? Soft? Affiliated? Alone? A wrong move here doesn't just earn you a warning, it earns you a beating, a shakedown, or worse. There are no printed rules in Cook County. But everyone inside understands a simple truth. Respect is currency and disrespect is debt, and debt gets collected fast. Inside Division 9, the maximum security wing known simply as the Max, the code runs deeper. Here, men accused of murder, armed robbery, and gang leadership share cells barely big enough for two. Every race has its own corner, its own table, its own chain of command. And while officers patrol the tiers, it's the inmates who enforce the law of survival. You don't sit where you're not invited. You don't borrow unless you can repay. And you never, ever speak on another man's case. For the uninitiated, these seem like small things. But in Cook County, they're lines you don't cross. A new arrival once tried to claim a bunk without asking. The next morning, his mattress was gone, his shoes missing, and his lips split open. The message was clear. Learn the code or suffer the consequences. The strongest don't always lead here. It's the ones who understand people, the ones who can read fear, pride, and loyalty, who survive longest. They form alliances, trade protection for commissary, and act as peacekeepers when tensions rise. But peace in Cook County is always temporary. One rumor, one insult, one glance too long, and the entire block can explode. The gangs that run Chicago's streets also run these cell blocks. The gangster disciples, vice lords, Latin kings, black pea stones, each has its presence, its own hierarchy, its own signals. They might share a yard but never a trust. The alliances shift like sand, and a man caught in between often disappears without a sound. The jail administration tries to manage it, segregating members, rotating pods, but the code finds a way through. Smuggled phones pass orders from tier to tier, while commissary slips become contracts, debts, or even death warrants. Still, amid the chaos, some inmates carve out quiet ways to survive. They clean, they read, they pray. They build invisible walls around themselves and hope no one tries to climb them. For them, the hardest part isn't the violence, it's the waiting. Waiting for trial. Waiting for a call. Waiting to know if the outside world still remembers their name. Every clang of the metal door reminds them that life here is ruled not by justice or mercy, but by an unspoken agreement. Do your time. Mind your business. Don't break the code. And for those who forget, the jail has a way of reminding them. In Cook County Jail, every hallway hums with politics. Not the kind debated on TV, but the kind that decides who eats first, who showers when, and who walks the tier without looking over their shoulder. There are no ballots here. Power is taken, not given. And respect, that's the only currency that never loses value. Every pod, every cell block, has its own ecosystem. At the top sits the shot caller, the inmate everyone listens to even when the guards pretend they don't exist. Beneath him are the enforcers, lieutenants, runners, and soldiers, each playing a role in keeping order inside chaos. To outsiders, it might look like anarchy. But to those who live it, the structure is clear. The gangs of Chicago, the gangster disciples, vice lords, Latin kings, and black pea stones, run their territories in miniature form here. The colors and tattoos tell stories the administration can't decipher. But everyone inside can. A crown, a star, a teardrop, each mark is a map. In Division 10, the atmosphere is thick with tension that never truly fades. One misstep can ripple through the pod like a current. When a new inmate arrives, the first question whispered isn't, "What's your charge?" It's, "Who you with?" If he claims no set, he's labeled a neutron. Neutrons are watched. Some are left alone. Others get pressured to pick a side. It's survival math. Numbers mean safety, isolation means risk. And in a place where fights can erupt over the last packet of noodles, nobody wants to be caught without backup. Still, not every cell block runs on chaos. Some are run with military precision. Meals are timed. Movements are coordinated. Arguments are handled quietly, before they turn loud enough to attract the officers. The inmates call it keeping the peace. But really it's about keeping control. Guards know this hierarchy exists, but few try to break it. In truth, the system depends on it. A cell block imbalance is a cell block that doesn't riot. So long as the politics stay contained, the jail functions. But when that balance breaks, when someone disrespects a leader or a rumor spreads across tiers, the fallout is instant. A stolen commissary item can lead to lockdown. A whispered insult can end in blood. Everyone learns quickly, there's no such thing as a small problem in Cook County Jail. Only small moments before big consequences. One veteran inmate once said, "You don't gotta raise your voice in here. You just raise an eyebrow and people move." He'd been locked up 15 years awaiting trial on a murder charge that never reached verdict. In that time he'd seen leaders rise, fall, and vanish overnight. His lesson was simple. Respect ain't loud. It's silent, but everyone hears it. Within those concrete walls, power can't be measured by size or muscle. It's measured by influence, the ability to stop violence before it starts, or spark it with a single nod. For the young and reckless, this political landscape is a trap. They come in thinking it's about toughness. They learn too late it's about discipline. Because in Cook County, control isn't just survival, it's status. And even as the guards make rounds, everyone knows the real authority doesn't wear a badge. It sleeps behind a steel door, speaking softly through vents and mirrors. That's the politics of the pod. And it decides who lives peacefully, and who doesn't wake up the same tomorrow. Inside Cook County Jail, money doesn't look like money. It smells like coffee. It crinkles like ramen packets. It slides under doors in the form of soap bars, envelopes, or toothpaste. Here, cash is banned, but commerce never stopped. Every inmate lives within an underground economy that mirrors the streets they came from. It's a system built on trust, fear, and timing. And it runs smoother than most small businesses on the outside. They call it the hustle. And in a place where survival is the only goal, everyone hustles something. Some trade food from the commissary. Others wash clothes, braid hair, write legal motions, or run makeshift stores called stores. A single packet of noodles, worth less than $1 outside, can buy respect, protection, or even silence. Coffee is gold. Stamps are currency. Soap is collateral. If you owe, you pay. If you can't pay, you better have friends who will. Every transaction is backed by reputation. Lie once, cheat once, and word spreads faster than a guard's flashlight. Once you're labeled a lick, a mark who can be taken advantage of, you'll spend the rest of your sentence trying to prove otherwise. For newcomers, the learning curve is brutal. They come in asking prices out loud, not realizing that talk draws attention. Soon older inmates step in. "You don't sell loud in here," they whisper. "You sell smart." Because in Cook County, the smartest hustlers are invisible. They keep their business clean, their circle small, and their profits hidden. The trades cover everything the jail won't give. Need extra food? Someone's got it. Need new socks? Someone trades them. Need a guard's favor? Someone knows the right word, the right time, the right payment. But behind the bartering lies something deeper: control. The biggest hustlers aren't always the richest. They're the ones who keep others dependent. They decide who eats well, who sleeps safely, who gets a phone call. In a way, they become shadow wardens, running a quiet empire while guards look the other way. The administration tries to break the cycle, shuffling inmates between tiers, confiscating contraband, freezing commissary accounts. Yet every time a hustle dies, another is born. You can't ban survival, you can only slow it down. One longtime inmate, a former gang lieutenant, once told a reporter, "I came in with nothing. Now I got dudes owing me soup, chips, and favors on 3 floors. That's more power than a correctional officer ever had." He wasn't lying. His influence stretched beyond bars, shaping alliances and silencing conflicts before they erupted. He controlled the flow of instant noodles and instant peace. Even the officers understood the rhythm. They'd rather see inmates trade than fight. So long as the tears stayed calm, nobody asked where the extra coffee came from. But the hustle economy has a dark side. Debts grow faster than time moves. A man who borrows a single honey bun might owe triple by week's end. And if he can't pay, the collection isn't friendly. Fights break out in the showers. Lockdowns follow. Yet the trading never stops. Because when everything else is taken from you, freedom, family, future, the ability to make a deal feels like power. In Cook County Jail, every hustler knows one truth. Control the flow of goods and you control the block. It's not greed, it's gravity. Everything here gets pulled toward the strongest orbit. So while the world outside sees inmates as powerless, inside they've built an economy of their own. A fragile, pulsing network of supply and demand, trust and betrayal. No cash. No credit. Only the code, and the cost. Respect. In Cook County Jail, that word carries more weight than any weapon. It decides whether you walk through the tears safely, or whether someone's waiting by your cell when the lights go out. You can't buy respect here. You earn it, day by day, move by move, word by word. And once you lose it, there's rarely a second chance. Every inmate knows the invisible line. You don't cross into another man's space without permission. You don't touch his things. You don't even look into his cell too long. In a world this small, privacy is sacred, even when the walls are see-through. Conversation is another minefield. You don't call someone by his first name unless invited. You don't ask why he's here. And you never speak about another man's case. Even if you read it in the newspaper, it isn't your story to tell. A single word can shift the air from calm to chaos. A joke taken the wrong way. A tone that sounds too proud. A sentence that hints at disrespect. People have been jumped, stabbed, or left bleeding over less. To survive, you learn to speak a new language, the language of restraint. Silence becomes safety. Listening becomes armor. And when you do talk, you talk with intention. Inmates call it checking the temperature. It means reading the room before you open your mouth. If the block's tense, you keep your head down. If tempers are flaring, you back away. It's not fear, it's strategy. Because inside Cook County, pride kills faster than any shank. But respect isn't only about avoiding conflict. It's also about how you carry yourself. Keep your bunk tidy. Keep your word. Don't steal. Don't whine. Those who move with discipline earn quiet admiration, even from rivals. The jail's full of men who broke laws, but none who forgive weakness. And then there's respect between gangs. Across racial lines, certain codes are understood without words. If someone's eating, you don't interrupt. If there's prayer, you wait. If a fight's personal, outsiders stay out. Violating that order invites war. Upholding it keeps the delicate peace that lets everyone survive another night. Older inmates act as teachers, especially to the young ones who come in loud and reckless. They pull them aside, whisper lessons that never appear in any handbook. Talk less. Watch more. Don't let anger write your story. It's wisdom passed down through scars. One of them, an inmate known simply as June, put it best. Respect don't mean fear. It means you see a man for what he is, a human being trying to make it through the same hell as you. That's rare wisdom in a place built on punishment. Yet it's the glue that keeps hundreds of strangers from turning on each other every day. Officers notice it too. They know which units run smooth and which are ready to blow. The calm blocks aren't always the quietest. They're the ones where respect still exists, fragile but alive. But respect can vanish in seconds. When it does, Cook County Jail transforms. The noise grows. The doors slam harder. The guards tighten patrols. And everyone feels it, the storm behind the silence. Because in here, survival isn't about strength or smarts. It's about walking that thin, invisible line between pride and peace. Every single day. There's a sound inside Cook County Jail that only those who've lived it can truly hear. It's not the clanging doors. Not the guards shouting orders. It's the silence. That heavy, endless silence when the day ends and the lights dim, and a man is left alone with his thoughts. That silence has weight. It presses on the chest, fills the lungs, and whispers questions no one wants to answer. For some, that's when the real sentence begins. Because here, punishment isn't just physical, it's psychological. And isolation is its sharpest weapon. Even in a jail as crowded as Cook County, loneliness is constant. Some inmates share cells so small that their knees touch when they sit. Yet mentally they're miles apart. Everyone keeps their mask on. Trust is rare and weakness is dangerous. So men talk to walls, to memories, to the faint hum of the fluorescent light above their bed. Anything to fill the emptiness. The jail's psychologists call it institutional disconnection. It's the moment when your mind stops measuring time by days and starts measuring it by meals. When you forget what the world smells like. When you start dreaming of open space but can't remember what blue sky looks like. Some cells go on lockdown for weeks. 23 hours a day in concrete. 1 hour for shower, phone, or yard, if you're lucky. That hour becomes sacred, the only proof you still exist beyond the walls. Many inmates describe it like drowning in slow motion. At first, you fight the silence. Then you start to accept it. Eventually, you depend on it. Until one day you can't live without it. Psychologists who've studied Cook County say prolonged isolation can cause hallucinations, insomnia, paranoia, even self-harm. And yet, it continues because it's control. When the system wants calm, it uses solitude. But solitude has a cost. An inmate named Marcus once told a reporter, "You sit in there so long you start talking to your own reflection. Then one day it talks back." He'd been in Division 9 segregation for 6 months after a fight. He said he forgot his own voice sounded real. That when they finally let him out, the noise of the hallway felt like thunder. He flinched at it. That's what the cell does, it rewires you. For others, the damage isn't madness, it's numbness. They stop caring. About court dates. About family. About the outside world entirely. Because caring hurts and numbness is easier. Cook County's mental health staff fights an impossible battle. There are thousands of inmates and only a handful of professionals. They run group sessions, distribute medication, and try to remind men that they're still human. But how do you heal someone who's forgotten what peace feels like? To cope, inmates build small rituals. Some read the same page of a Bible every morning. Some do push-ups until their arms give out. Some fold paper, write poetry, or scratch calendars into paint. Anything to prove time still moves. One officer once said, "If you ever want to see what the mind looks like when it breaks, walk the segregation tier after midnight." He wasn't exaggerating. You'll hear laughter where there's no joy, crying with no tears, men pacing, whispering, or praying out loud to nobody. Isolation doesn't always end with madness, but it always leaves a scar. And yet, somehow, some survive it. They learn to bend their minds without breaking them. They find rhythm in repetition, purpose in routine, a kind of strength that only grows in silence. Because inside Cook County Jail, the battle isn't just against time or violence. It's against the part of yourself that starts to fade, when no one else can see you anymore. In Cook County Jail, the uniform doesn't always mean control. Sometimes, it means survival, just like the jumpsuit on the other side of the bars. The officers here call themselves correctional staff. But inside, everyone knows the truth. They're part peacekeepers, part negotiators, part survivors of their own system. Because in a place this charged, power doesn't come from rank. It comes from presence. From knowing how to walk through chaos without becoming part of it. There are roughly 3,000 staff members working the jail. Their job is simple on paper: maintain order, prevent violence, enforce rules. But nothing in Cook County is simple. Every shift is a test of patience, judgment, and instinct. They move through tiers where tempers burn hotter than the air. They separate fights, de-escalate arguments, and break up standoffs that could turn deadly in seconds. And every day they do it with the same thought pressing behind their eyes. Don't lose control. Because once you lose control in Cook County, the inmates don't forget. And neither do your colleagues. Some officers build respect the hard way. Through consistency. They keep their word. They treat inmates like people, not numbers. And in return, those inmates grant them something rare: cooperation. They'll clear the tier faster, step back during searches, even warn the officer if a fight's about to break out. It's not friendship. It's understanding. But not everyone plays it that way. Power changes people. And in Cook County, power is everywhere. It's in the keys that open cells. In the radios that call backup. In the authority to decide who showers today and who doesn't. Some officers wield that power like a weapon. They taunt, they provoke, they flex control to remind everyone who's in charge. Sometimes it's subtle, a smirk during inspection. Sometimes it's not. A missed meal. An ignored complaint. A late response when a cellmate screams. Those moments ripple through the blocks. Disrespect from a guard feels like gasoline on dry cement. The anger builds. And when it explodes, the officers are the first target. Over the years, the jail has seen countless reports of abuse, beatings, retaliation, excessive force. Some real, some exaggerated, some impossible to prove. But they all point to one truth. Inside Cook County, the line between control and cruelty is razor thin. And then there's the other side: corruption. Contraband moves through these walls in mysterious ways. Phones, drugs, tobacco, they don't fall from the sky. Some get smuggled in by visitors. But others? They come from the inside. Every few months, headlines appear. Cook County guard arrested for smuggling. Officer charged in contraband ring. It's not every guard. But it's enough to remind everyone that temptation breathes behind every badge. The reasons vary. Some do it for money. Some out of fear. Some because an inmate they once guarded now controls more influence than the people signing their paychecks. The jail's administration tries to fight it. Surprise inspections, polygraphs, sting operations. But corruption is like smoke, it always finds a way through cracks. Yet amid all this darkness, there are officers who carry hope. Men and women who walk those tiers every day believing they can make a difference. They bring books to inmates. They check on the quiet ones. They break up fights without breaking bones. They remind those behind bars, and themselves, that humanity doesn't end at the gate. One longtime officer, Sergeant Harris, once said, "You can't survive this place by hate. You survive it by balance. Too soft they walk on you. Too hard you lose yourself." He's been at Cook County 20 years. He's seen riots, murders, and reforms come and go. But he stays because, as he puts it, if everyone in here gives up on right and wrong, then this place wins. And maybe that's the hardest truth of all. Inside Cook County Jail, guards and inmates live under the same pressure. The same heat, the same fear, the same code. One wears blue. The other wears beige. But both wake up every morning to the same unspoken rule. Survive. And don't lose yourself doing it. Cook County Jail isn't just a jail. It's a map of Chicago's streets, compressed into concrete. Every block, every neighborhood, every corner beef has a reflection here. And behind these walls, the lines are drawn even sharper. When a new inmate arrives, his paperwork might say aggravated assault or drug charge. But to the men already inside, the only question that matters is, what set you claim? That one answer decides where you sleep, who you eat with, and how long you'll live peacefully. The jail is divided into divisions, 9, 10, 11, each one a self-contained world. Within them, gangs hold invisible territories. The gangster disciples run sections of Division 9. The vice lords have strength in Division 10. The Latin kings, four-corner hustlers, and Black P stones each claim space of their own. Sometimes two rival sets share a floor, separated only by a wall, and a tension so thick it hums through the vents. The guards call it the gang grid. Every movement, meals, showers, yard time, is scheduled like chess pieces on a board, because one wrong placement can spark war. A Latin king and a disciple in the same hallway? That's a riot waiting to happen. The irony is, most of these men grew up within a few miles of each other. Same city, same streets. But here inside the old codes harden. Every insult, every street beef, every betrayal from outside. It all gets replayed under fluorescent light. One slip of the tongue, one disrespectful glance, and 24 men might pay for it. The gangs inside aren't disorganized. They operate like corporations. Each pod has a chain of command, leaders, spokesmen, soldiers. Orders travel through paper notes, hand signals, and coded conversations passed during meal distribution. Phones, smuggled in through a dozen creative routes, connect the inside to the outside world. Sometimes violence on the streets is ordered from inside these walls. Other times, peace is negotiated here and carried back to the city. That's the power of Cook County Jail. It's not just a reflection of Chicago's gang world. It's one of its headquarters. Administrators try to break the cycle. Frequent transfers, isolation of known leaders, random shuffles between divisions. But it never lasts. As soon as one leader is moved, another rises. Because the code isn't written down, it's embedded in culture, passed through loyalty, survival, and fear. An officer once said, "You can move the bodies, but you can't move the streets out of them." And he was right. Still, not every man inside follows the old loyalties. Some grow tired of it, the endless politics, the violence that never ends. They call themselves neutrals or lone wolves. But neutrality has its price. Without a crew you have no protection. So, most choose silence over defiance, walking carefully, blending into the rhythm of the cell block. Then there are the shot callers. These are the men everyone knows but no one dares to name. They don't shout. They don't fight. They don't need to. A single word from them, passed down through the chain, can clear a hallway or end a man's run. Their reach goes beyond cells, beyond fences, sometimes even beyond Chicago itself. Every once in a while, something shifts the balance. A stabbing, a drug bust, a rumor about disrespect. Then the temperature rises. Pods go into lockdown. Officers put on riot gear. And for a few tense hours the jail holds its breath. But when the gates reopen, the same pattern resumes. Because Cook County's gang politics aren't chaos, they're order in disguise. A brutal, bloody kind of order that keeps men alive through loyalty, even if it kills them through pride. To understand Cook County, you have to understand this paradox. The same brotherhood that causes violence also prevents it. The same loyalty that traps men also protects them. And the same code that destroys lives on the streets keeps them breathing behind bars. For most men in Cook County Jail, this isn't the end of the road. It's the waiting room for justice. A place between freedom and forever. Every morning the chain buses roll out toward downtown Chicago. Toward the courthouse that decides fates one case at a time. Men step off in shackles, wrists chained to waists, eyes scanning the skyline they haven't seen in months. For a few brief moments they feel almost human again. Until the elevator doors close and reality returns. They call it the chain. It's the daily ritual that defines Cook County's rhythm. Thousands waiting for hearings, arraignments, continuances, or verdicts. But here's the truth, justice moves slower than time. Some inmates wait months, even years without trial. Paperwork gets lost. Lawyers change. Witnesses disappear. And as the days stretch into weeks and weeks into years, a kind of emotional erosion begins. One inmate once said, "Cook County don't kill you quick. It kills you slow, with waiting. That waiting eats at everything. Your sanity, your faith, your connection to the outside world. Family stops calling as often. Jobs are long gone. Children grow without faces they remember. Every missed court date means another stretch of limbo, and every delay means another soul slipping deeper into despair. Public defenders carry caseloads so heavy that cases blur together. Some meet their clients for the first time inside the courtroom. Others barely remember their names. And while the system drags, the jail keeps turning. A revolving door of poverty, addiction, and desperation. Bail only makes it worse. A few $1,000s, unreachable for many, means the difference between sleeping at home or behind bars. And in Cook County, most can't afford it. So they wait, and wait, and wait. Meanwhile, the city profits quietly from their stay. Every inmate costs taxpayers hundreds per day. Every delay means another dollar spent on confinement instead of rehabilitation. It's a machine that feeds itself. Courts delay cases. Jails fill up. Violence increases. Reforms are promised. And the cycle resets. Inside, men cling to any scrap of hope. Letters, visits, phone calls, even rumors of release. But as time goes on, hope becomes harder to hold. One man, locked up 3 years before trial, told a journalist, "The streets forgot me. My girl forgot me. But this place remembers everything I did." That's the cruelest part of Cook County Jail. It remembers. Every fight, every debt, every broken rule. Your mistakes become your identity, and your case file becomes your name. Still, some find strength in the waiting. They study. They earn GEDs. They mentor younger inmates. They build patience out of pain. Because when you can't control your freedom, the only thing left to control is yourself. For those who finally make it to trial, the outcome is rarely the ending they dreamed of. Some walk free, broken by the process. Some go upstate to serve real time, strangely relieved that at least something is decided. And others return years later, caught in the same loop that never ends. Cook County doesn't just hold bodies. It holds history, of injustice, poverty, politics, and pain. It's a mirror of the city that built it, reflecting everything society tries not to see. By the time a man leaves Cook County Jail, he carries more than a record. He carries the code. He's learned when to speak and when to stay silent, when to trust and when to walk away. He's learned that respect can be armor, and silence can be a weapon. Some take that knowledge and rebuild their lives. Others take it back to the streets, repeating the same cycle that brought them here. But every single one leaves changed. Because Cook County Jail isn't just a facility, it's a test. A test of patience, pride, and the human will to endure. Behind those concrete walls are men who made mistakes. Men who were failed by the system. And men who simply got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yet together they built a world governed by rules unspoken but unbreakable. And if you listen closely you can still hear it. The rhythm of the jail at night. Doors clanging. Footsteps echoing. Whispers of deals, prayers, regrets, and survival. It's not a story of monsters. It's a story of men. Trying to stay human in a place built to take that away. If this story opened your eyes, hit like, share it, and subscribe for more true stories from inside the world's toughest prisons. Because some truths aren't found in courtrooms, they're found behind bars.